everybody, and welcome back to the range. Tom here, and today we're doing a Octoberfest themed vehicle from Diecast Graveyard, and I am doing this Racing Champions 96 Dodge Ram. I got this. I was just gonna get it for the wheels and stuff, but I thought I could do something with it. Just didn't know what. So why don't we head on down to the range and let's get started. Like I said, I just kind of seen this car sitting around and, bought it at a little thrift store or something, a little flea market or something, I can't remember. But I thought it was just a cool little truck, being a Dodge Ram, Racing Champions, I like the wheels on it. But I thought I'd do something a little bit different. Since we're doing a Octoberfest theme, and I looked and I could not find any beer decals that I would drink. And what I mean by that is, there's certain beers I'll drink, and I could not find any decals or anything that along those lines that I wanted to use. So I started digging a little bit deeper and went over to Second Chance Red Lines, and I found some really cool decals. The only thing was that they went to a Camaro, but knowing me, I knew I'd make them fit. I knew I'd make them work, and I'm not going to tell you what the decals are until you see the final results. But all in all, I knew I was going to cut the back half of this off. I wanted to kind of make it like a little... at first, I was going to make it like a dragster style. I just didn't know exactly how I was going to do it. But about halfway through the build, I kind of changed my mind. And, after I got this all cut off, I was really happy, filed it down, but I didn't just stop with cutting the back half off. I had this bunch of these castings that I just had laying around, and I got a lot of them just for their engines, and I knew I wanted to put a cool looking engine in there. I cut out some of the fender area to get it to where it would fit this engine, and I got this engine from a Baby Boomer. And because I knew I wasn't going to use the casting at all. So I knew I got it just for the engine itself. It was a pretty cool looking engine. I knew I was going to have to do a lot of modifications, a lot of filing, and just to get it to fit the way I want it to fit. And I knew it was going to be kind of a little tricky to do it. But I knew I'd be able to figure it out. If anybody could, it was me. Well, anybody could have figured it out, honestly. Not just me. But, I really like the look of this engine. I wasn't going to use the exhaust. I ended up cutting the exhaust off because the way I was going to have it, there was going to be wheels sitting next to it. And I didn't want the wheels to be rubbing or catching on the exhaust, so I just cut them off, filed it down smooth where, I could get it in and out of the casting without having any problems. And the paint I went with this and everything, you will not actually see the actual cab of the truck until the final results, because the color scheme I went with it, I detailed up the interior, I detailed up the engine as best as I could, and like I said, there was a lot of filing and stuff. I had to make sure that the engine would go in and out of this no problem. With me cutting it in half, I had to modify the base. I had to do a lot of stuff to this casting. I took the hood off, didn't use the hood again because I was just going to leave it open. Pretty cool, dry, big old motor in this thing. I really liked how the motor looked in this thing, and I got a couple of other motors that I'm probably going to build into some kind of hot rod or rat rod or something. I got some motors just laying around that I'm going to end up using. I didn't have a lot to worry about stripping off and stuff. I'm taking my steel wool as usual, just trying to clean it up, get the little grooves and stuff, just doing those minor things. And the thing is, when I started working on the bass, I didn't really use the cab all that often except just a test fit. So when I was done test fitting and I was just doing the like minor details of getting certain things put in a certain spot, doing the axles up, whatever I had to do, I ended up going ahead and painting the cab of it. Just started painting it like pretty much halfway through this entire build, because a lot of it focuses on the bass. You know, a lot of the custom work is the bass. And you'll see what I'm talking about here in a few minutes, because I had some pieces laying around. I've been trying to figure out what I was actually wanting to do with them. I had a couple ideas, they didn't work out, so you know, I just kind of had it sitting over in my ammo shed. As you guys don't know, that's my little storage area for all my pieces and you know, stuff like that. But I had it stored over there, and for some reason, when I was building this car, I just kept looking at this certain piece, and I don't want to kind of tell you guys right off the bat, because we haven't reached that part in the video yet. And you guys know, after all my videos recording and stuff, that's when I do my voiceover, so I'm pretty much going along with the video as I'm talking. But the part that I used, wow, where did I get it? I've had it for a long time. And like I said, I just didn't know what I was going to use it for. And just, it kept poking at me and kept poking at me. And it's like, hey, use me for this Octoberfest build. You will not regret it. And boy, if that could really talk, they were right. Because it fits this build to a T, from what I was wanting to do from start to finish. And everything came out. Paint came out. The detailing I put into this, all of it turned out exactly like I was hoping it would. It wasn't one of those surprise things, you know. I just kept picturing in my head, what's it going to look like when it's painted, you know, and even to the point where the decals looked amazing on this thing. And the thing is about me is I'm not a big drinker. You know, I'll drink some here and there, you know, maybe every now and then I'll have a beer or two. But I am a really specific person when it comes to certain alcohols. And I am a mostly Jack Daniels fan. I love my Jack and Cokes. You know, I don't get drunk off of them. I actually just enjoy them. So when I found these decals for Jack Daniels, I was like, I gotta use them. Don't know what I'm gonna use them on, but I'm gonna use them. But this is that piece I was telling you about. It came from like this old farm truck work thing or whatever. But I didn't really like the whole almost enclosed in area. So I started trimming them up. Trying to make them, and you know, they already look kind of like wood planks already and stuff. So I wanted to kind of trim it down. You know, get it to where it looked a little decent. You know, where you could actually see and not have to worry about, you know, this fence and it getting in your way. But you know, when I started doing this, you know, I was trying to make sure everything was cut right, everything looked good, everything was matching. You know, pretty much everything that I wanted to do to it was turning out. You know, I ended up smoothing out the edges. When I was test fitting it, I really liked how it was looking with these side pieces on here. And it was kind of making it feel like it was that old school style truck that they would haul liquor on and, you know, beer on and stuff like that. So that's kind of the theme I was going with, but a more modern kind of vehicle with the 96 Dodge I was doing. And you guys kind of see what I'm working with right now. You know, I'm kind of just seeing how it's going to work, how it's going to look. And right now, I'm trying to figure out exactly how I'm going to do the bass on it. And, you know, I was kind of, when I wasn't videoing, I was looking around for bits and pieces of certain things, just kind of seeing what I could do to make a bass. And I found a couple M2 basses that, you know, it would look good, but it wouldn't have, things weren't lining up with it. So I ended up not using the M2 bass. So, me being me, I decided to build a custom bass. Oh yeah, going to customs. And I've noticed I've gotten a lot better at making certain things, making certain bases, trying to do what I could. And all in all, it worked out a lot better than I was expecting it was going to. You know, I was really happy with, everything that was going on. My next video, or my second to next video, whatever, I got one, maybe two more videos coming out before the end of the month. And yes, one of them is going to be my 4 Horsemen painted pink build. So I may do one more video before that and then do that one, or I may just do that one and just call it a day for the month. But I don't know yet. I wanted to get focused on this, and honestly, this build really didn't even take me that long to do. Even with the custom base that I ended up doing, did not take me all that long. And I got these square stock styrenes, just I pulled out of my styrene box, and I'm kind of test fitting, just seeing where everything was going to lay out. And you see here that the base is kind of, well, at this time it is fitting with the body and stuff, and it's looking really neat. I kind of already detailed up the engine just a little bit just to see what it was going to look like. I'm kind of lining up where I was going to do with the whole base. I wanted to make sure it flowed with the flatbed portion of it. So I was kind of using that as a template, as a guide of where I needed to glue my styrene pieces onto. And honestly, I was really, really happy with how I went about building this base, because I kind of took my time, measured it, kind of seeing where things were going to go, see what worked, what didn't work. And I was kind of making sure I had extra supports there. I was making sure when I put the wheels in there, it would fit underneath the flatbed portion of it. And I had to do a little bit of sanding and stuff like that for the wheels so they could turn freely. And I had a mix up on certain wheels I was going to use. I had some ideas I was going to use some M2 style wheels, or this kind of wheels. But what I ended up using was a set of Samed wheels, off-road wheels. And I ended up using them and the thing is, the ones that I picked matched the paint scheme I was going with. So I had no other choice. I had to pick those wheels. And I'm glad I did, because they look awesome on this truck. I was really happy with the wheel setup. I was happy with the way the bed was set up. And, everything just fell into place. Like, when I started getting towards the end of this build, everything just started falling right where it needed to be. I was really happy with how the build was going. I was actually really excited about this build when I first started it. And yeah, I know Octoberfest, when I think of Oktoberfest, I think of just drinking and drinking and drinking and drinking. It doesn't matter what you're drinking, you're drinking. A lot of people see it as, drinking beer and beer and beer and beer. And I'm sorry, but, if I'm going to be drinking an Oktoberfest, I'm not going to be drinking beer the entire time. I'm going to have me some good old whiskey. And that's why I decided to go with the Jack Daniels, because I like Jack Daniels. It's my favorite drink. And the decals just looked amazing on this car. They really does. And, I hope you guys believe or think the same thing when you see the final results. Because this along with the base, everything that was matching up, it looked great. I was really happy with it. I'm very, very stoked about getting to see the final results and everything else. And I know you guys at this time, you're like, man, I just want to see it done. Trust me, at this point, I'm like, I wish I would just get this thing done already. So, I'm taking my Dremel tool, something I don't do very often, especially when I'm making chassis or bases and stuff. I ended up using it, and honestly, I was really, really surprised by the results and how everything came into play. Everything matched up, and I had no problems. It looked great, and I was really happy with it. So note to self, this is how I'm going to start doing chassis and bases when I start making my own bases again. Or attempt to, anyway. But, just having this, where I needed it to be and everything, I smoothed it out with some sandpaper, and, I just kind of wanted everything to look good. It was kind of a flimsy base, but that's okay. It wasn't going to have, actually any weight in the back end of it. So, yeah, I made my own axles, cutting them out, kind of adjusting them. I had this little dragster car that I took the rear axle out of and the rear wheels out of it. So I ended up using the differential part of it and putting the axle tube through it to make it look like it had a rear axle differential. And, instead of, using my Dremel tool to cut my axle tubes, I've been using my drill with my jigsaw, my jeweler's saw. And I've been just kind of using that. And it's been a great technique. It's really worked a lot. Just mark where I want it, line it up to the edge of the drill, and then cut it off while the drill is running. And it works really well. And, you don't have to just stand there and just kind of get your hands hot when you're taking the Dremel tool to it. And here's the portion of the bed that I know I'm kind of skipping around, but I actually took real wood little pieces and that I got from Hobby Lobby, and I lined them up on the back of this bed, because I wanted to give it that that wood look. So during this time, honestly, the car or the truck is actually not yet quite in paint yet, but actually, yeah, it is in paint right now. So I was doing a little bit of off-camera stuff. I have these Just Trucks little running boards that I put on there. Here's the Sam Ed wheels that I'm running with, and honestly, I just love these wheels. I love Sam Ed wheels. They're a great company. He does a great job with wheels. I love getting, my wheels from him. And, all in all, everything was working out really good. I ended up putting a little drive shaft in there. Here's the motor. It's looking really good at this point. And, it was just really great. And now I wanted to kind of add some stuff for when I did it. So I had these little tubes that I got out of one of my medicine bottles. They were in there. So I had a bunch of them collected up, and I knew eventually I was going to use them. I just didn't know what for. So, you'll see what I'm talking about and what I used them for. This is what we started off with, this Racing's Champion 96 Dodge Ram pickup. Good casting, nice little casting all around. Don't get me wrong, not really big on the purple color, but I love the design. And all in all, this was a fun build. I was really happy to do this. So without further ado, let's check out the final results. And I'll see you next time at the range.